This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. Future Cop LAPD might be one of the best and kinda underrated PS1 games that I am kicking myself for not knowing about this before. If I look back to what I'd like to have in my games as a kid, this would have definitely checked a lot of boxes for me. Comes packed with content to enjoy. You have that right there with 2 modes. Campaign can be played in split screen, so that's also here. And just really fun gameplay no matter what mode you're in. Frequently I would have friends come over, and while it was fun to trade off with a friend playing a game, nothing was better than being able to face a campaign or set of levels in co-op with a friend. I would have loved Future Cop if I had played it back then, and oddly enough, it holds up really well. This is a really fun game, and I haven't even explored everything that it has to offer, but what I've played so far, I really enjoyed.
One down, 2 to go.
Future Cop LAPD is a game of 2 halves. There are 2 main modes, the Crime War and Precinct Assault. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus more on Crime War because I haven't really dived into Precinct Assault yet. I'll rectify this with future videos. Crime War is a blast. Future Cop feels heavily inspired by the likes of Judge Dredd and RoboCop. Crime has infested LA, and each of the main areas within the game are overrun with different problems across various gangs. And to the game's credit, this is even reflected within the enemies that you fight there too. Plus, each gang and gang leader has a bit of their own unique personality to help bring this world to life. So being on the side of the cops, you have to control this special mech and are tasked with taking out all the criminals and bringing back some peace to LA. The action is great and just the right amount of over the top to keep everything consistently engaging. While Crime War may not be the longest of modes, it's highly replayable and a lot of fun. Now when a game can hook the player right away, this deserves a lot of praise. Something I see a lot with older games from these classic eras is that there's a lot less hand-holding and nonsense thrown at the player. You are not treated like a kid, and in some cases the game provides no guidance and you just need to figure it out for yourself. Really digging in and understanding a game is very enjoyable, and I think it makes for something that I miss when playing some of these modern titles. Oftentimes with games now, there's too much guidance for things that you really don't need, like how to fire a gun in a first-person shooter. Who needs that spelled out for them? But with Future Cop, the beginning moments of this game are great. You get hit with a tutorial video first, and I have to give credit to this tutorial. There is no fluff here, and it's all to the point. It gives you all the basics and then you jump right in and start having fun. Nothing long-winded. One thing you'll notice when you start playing is how the controls can just take a little bit to get used to because of its older style. About halfway through the first mission, it all becomes second nature to you. You just need to get used to the left stick controls both your aiming and your movement. There is an auto aim of sorts, as you pretty much target whatever you're looking at, and the same goes for if enemies are above or below you as well. You pretty much just need to be pointed in their direction and then get on with the destruction.
I count 4 power sources emanating from the power grid.
Now your mech is pretty cool. It's very tank-like in how it controls. You're even provided with the option to jump to aid you in some spots, or even some areas that require a bit of platform. Not the best area of the game, but it thankfully does not take up a large portion of the game either. The focus of Future Cop is on the combat. You will fight various henchmen, vehicles on land, water, and air, along with even some horror-type enemies. New locations means new enemies, and this keeps the action interesting. But your mech has this really cool ability and can transform at any time into a hover car. This gives you some more direct max speed, and it can even mean dodging certain traps, since you'll pass right over them. For the most part, tackling levels comes down to how you want to do them, from your weapon selection to the different form your vehicle can take. One player might prefer using the mech over the hover car, or vice versa, so the freedom is appreciated. Another thing I like is that there's specific spots in certain levels where you are required to use either the mech or the hover car to get to the next spot. This can mean switching to the mech to jump up to another platform, or using the hover car to gain enough speed to boost off a ramp. Something else that is a nice touch is the camera or camera options. You can change the angle of your camera to various spots, but the game will oftentimes try to provide you with the best view depending on where you are. So if you're fighting within a narrow pathway, then the game will try to give you a more bird's eye view, whereas there are some crowd control sections with lots of henchmen, and the game will then zoom up close. These type of moments add an appreciated dynamic effect to the action, and gives it a cinematic flair to it too.
You've got to cross the electro bridge. Sensors show a switch in your area.
Now, with this being an older title, do not expect the save system to be forgiving. Future Comp is a pretty tough game, even on the easy setting. There are no mid-mission checkpoints. If you die at the level end boss, then you need to do the entire thing over again. This can be really frustrating when it happens. I do think that if this title was remastered, and honestly it should be remastered, adding in mid-mission checkpoints would be a nice option. The levels here are not that long and last about 20 minutes or less, but working your way to the end and then dying at the finish line can really take the wind out of your momentum to keep you playing the game right there. At the same time, I do appreciate this older style of difficulty. There is something satisfying, even more so when you finish a level that's been giving you trouble. So an idea I think might be a happy middle ground for this feature would be to have checkpoints on easy and normal, and keep hard with no checkpoints. This is all important to know when diving into an older title sometimes, because that was kind of how they built them back then. I have had some other issues, one being, like I mentioned before, I don't really care for the platforming within the game. It feels janky and you can easily overshoot your jump, and depending on the level, this can cause you to do a lot of backtracking. There's some instances with traps that can kind of feel cheap as well, but even with all this stuff, I'm having a blast with it. This is a title that deserves more attention, and at least with the time I've spent with it so far, I understand whenever people start talking about this game that it's always with a lot of praise. The action is a lot of fun, and if you like explosions, you're gonna enjoy this one. The Crime War mode is a really good campaign, and even for an older title, there's a lot of personality put into each and every level, down to some of the unique situations, enemies, and bosses you need to face. I plan on diving into Precinct Assault more in future videos as well, because this multiplayer-like mode sounds very interesting with the aspect of needing to capture a base. If you'd like to see more videos on Future Cop and other retro titles, let me know. Have you played Future Cop LAPD? If so, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.